get Dan in here too. So we just got done with our morning program with Dan Neeser, the Niece Man. And now we are opening up for the vendor booth. So I've got to get the WebEx thing going for Dan. So stay with us. Welcome to Vendor Row, I guess you would call it. At every Western Section meeting, we have a vendor booth or vendor opportunities. And this is the opportunity to come and talk to different manufacturers and whoever is at the Western Section meeting or whichever section meeting that you happen to attend, and find out what they've got the latest of. And a lot of times what happens in our vendor booths is we talk technical. We have conversations going on. And there it is. It's beeping. We're going to have, I think the only individual, I got to check my emails, but I believe the only individuals we have signed up for right now is Busman, the Eaton's Busman division. We just heard from this team. We heard from Dan Neeser. So Dan is going to more than likely hop back on in again, and we start up at 12:30. It's 12:30 to 1:30, but we're probably going to get through Dan, and that's the only person we have. I'm going to check to see if I contacted somebody who was having a technical difficulty earlier yesterday, and I'll see if they wanted to go back on again. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the program this morning with my buddy Dan Neeser and motor protection. I know I always learn from him. I wouldn't tell him that. It'll go straight to his head, and we wouldn't want that to happen. All right, so I'm going to set things up. So give me a second while we get this up. So hopefully you guys and gals out there, while Dan's doing his little thing, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be involved with that, but I'm going to be downloading the sign out. I'm looking at my emails now to see who is signed on and who is not. Danny King, got you covered, buddy. Hopefully you will join us here. Oh, we got you covered, Reginald. That's perfectly fine. All right, so I'm just checking to see who. Dabrowski, Andre. Awesome. Well, this is looking good. So we've got, hey, Aaron, thanks for copping in or dropping in early. Steve Froming in the house, y'all. Awesome, Steve. Yeah, I thought Dan did it. Well, don't say that because Dan's coming in now, and if you tell him he did a good job, oh my gosh, his head will get bigger. I'll have to enlarge the screen. I won't be able to fit him on the YouTube feed. I might have to call YouTube and have him give a higher bandwidth or whatnot. Mr. Neeser.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going, brother?
Chilling like Bob Dylan.
Chilling like Bob Dylan. Yeah, we are live right now. I just turned on. We got Robert from Omaha says you did a great job, and so did Steve Froming. And I told everybody that we can't say you did a great job because then all of a sudden I'm going to have to call YouTube and get a bigger bandwidth to be able to fit your head through.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
So, oh, there you are.
Yep.
Now, did you have a PowerPoint for this one too, or what did you have?
I do.
Did you send it to me?
I did not. I wasn't sure how this was going to work.
Okay, just email it over to me because of the bandwidth stuff. It'll be easier if I have it.
Okay.
And you were going to do the Mentimeter stuff?
I mean, I can. We don't necessarily have to, but
It's up
I
to
have
you.
one prepared to go, but I don't know how that would work.
What I would do is you can do a couple different things. You could, let me get rid of this 1 second. Cancel motor. I can shut that off. Let me just put the thing up here for the vendor. Give me a second. We still got time.
I just emailed you the presentation.
Excellent. All right, there we go. I just want to put the vendor thing up here so people know they're in the right thing. So this is vendor Q&A, vendor booth. El Daniel vendor booth from Transylvania.
Do you know if anyone else is going to hop in here today for this, or?
No, you know what? It's just you. So you got 15 minutes because I gave everybody 15 minutes. So I can't play favorites. Although, you know, what are you gonna do? No one else signed up, so it'll just be
Well, if I
you.
have 15 minutes, I'm going to skip the Q&A. So
There you go. All right. So you just sent me. Who'd you send it? Where did you send it to?
you're eating email.
Okay. I'll let you know when it comes in. I don't know how big it is, but now if you want to do the Mentimeter, if you want to, we can. Well,
It's right. I mean, I basically just have a presentation, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
I was just going to set up some of the dialogue.
Perfect. And you know what? If you want, we can take some dial-ins. I don't know. It's up to you. Control C. I hate this whenever I have two keyboards going on, two different computers. And I've got some people asking for, so I'm copying, pasting. I'm opening the Word document on one computer, and I use the Control C on another computer. Control.
You're trying to open what?
I opened up a Word document on one computer, and Lance, you know what? It's funny.
Did I say I was going to cheer for the Cubs?
No. It was somebody else mentioned the Cubs. I don't know what he was talking about, but you know, consider the source. Oh, there's your email. All right, so I'm going to forward this up to my other. Hold on. Yep. So I got an email from an individual, and it says check in, all one word, and I thought it said chicken. And I'm like, what am I chicken of? I'm never chicken of anything, you know. I'm out there, man. There's no check-in for vendor booth. There's no CEU credits for vendor booth. It's just like the vendor booth at the Western section. So no check-in, no CEUs for vendor time. So just sit back and enjoy the show. All right. I'm going to take a look on the chat. I got to break this chat out. Pop out chat. There we go. Whoa. And I'm going to minimize. We're on Facebook and we're on 2 YouTube sites. So I stream this because it's not for a paid thing. My goal here is to get people to recognize the Western section is out there and we are having our virtual meetings, and that they can still purchase for CEU credits individual slots for the rest of the program this week. So we've got Wednesday 2 programs, Thursday 2 programs, and Friday 1 program. So this afternoon's program is you could still purchase tickets to get into this afternoon's program, which is basically the Code Panel 2.
Right.
Or the second code panel, not code making panel 2 for the National Electrical Code, but the second panel. Yep, so we are live on Facebook and to my YouTube channel, and also I'm going to make sure I've hit the live button. Sometimes I hit it and sometimes I don't. I think I'm live on mine. All right. I'll close this.
How did you fit a liquid filled transfer in your office?
Oh, I did an extension.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we dug that out because you know what? I needed more
More power?
Yeah, I did. And so I needed to get 138 kV from Duquesne Light. I got 138 kV coming in. I step it down to 4160, and then I got my 4160 to 480 and my 120 stuff over in the other room. So
Oh wow, you got a loop system, huh?
Oh yeah. I got a radio. Yeah, I got a loop system going. So it's working out good. I'm very happy with it. You know, Duquesne Light gave me a hard time, but
yeah.
And you know, the electrical inspector was in here, and he was like, "Well, you know, you need to worry about 70E and stuff like that." And I'm like, "I'm a residential baby.
Yeah, come on.
Don't belong here.
Single family dwelling.
Single family dwelling unit." Yep. Although I do have 2 dogs, so you know, I don't know. Is that still single family? I mean, dogs. I guess that's part of your family. It's like your kids, right?
There was a news article about Joe Buck. He just bought like a $4.5 million mansion in Ladue.
Ladue, wow.
Ladue, yeah.
Who was that?
Joe Buck.
Joe Buck. Okay, I'm looking for. I sent this email. Oh, there it is. I just needed some time. Vendor Q&A. Save as. We still got time. All right, so I'm going to put day 2. Vendor. And hit save. We'll move that down to done. All right, so let's call it up and see if we can't get your PowerPoint. Western section, presentations, day 2 vendor Q&A.
How many people do we have coming in?
Say that again?
How many people do we have coming in?
I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you how many are here right now. It'll depend on because I you know, we do have the free registration for it, so everybody who registered for it got an email. I'm not sure how many of that was, but I can tell you how many are online right now. We've got 3,422 people watching. No, we have 15 right now on.
Okay.
On the Western section YouTube site. I don't know how many. I've only got about 7 people on my YouTube site. I don't know how many people we got on Facebook. I never know how many people we have on Facebook, but we have some people on Facebook.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. So that'll be people just dropping in, and then they go, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, it's Dan Neeser. Hey, you know, him and Tom, they both lost their hair. I'm getting out of here." So that's the way that goes. That's okay though. All right, so I have. Let me just test this. Is that the right PowerPoint?
That is it.
Oh, I wonder. Oh, look at that vendor booth. That still worked. Excellent. All right, and you have your email and you have your phone number, and it is 12:28, so it's almost 12:30. Let people scooch in here, and we got about 17 concurrent viewers out there on TubeLand, plus a few on mine, plus Facebook, so we're pretty good. You're not. So all I need to do is just flip screens like I did before, right?
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. I'm going
I
to.
can. I mean, I can run Menti and I can view. We don't need the results, you know.
Oh well, yeah, yeah. So, the Menti. I wonder if that's right. We were going to do Menti. I wonder.
I just threw in 5 questions to kind of set up.
Okay. And do you have the codes to have them go out and do that?
Yeah, it's if you flip the next slide.
All right. That's a fine. That's fine. So let me find it. Where's the PowerPoint at? There it is. Oh yeah. Okay. So they can go to menti.com and enter 49 1 12 7. You know what you can do is send me an email. That's it. You know how in Menti you can send the email of look at the results?
Oh,
If you send
I just convert.
well, they won't be
I
able
can
to see it.
comment to them.
Yeah, but I mean if you send it to me, I can put it up on the screen. So and they'll see it live.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. That way you can have you and then I can show that. I can put that on a different monitor. That would be perfectly fine.
it'll wait when they. It'll show the answers. It'll show people who are answering and how many people are answering on everyone's screen, right?
Nope.
Or no?
Nope.
No, just on mine.
Just on yours. Yep. But if you send me that link, I can show it, and they will be able to see it. How many people answer? That way, you're still in control of the advancing if you're advancing and all that other good stuff, and I can still show everybody.
When
the
you say
results.
send you the link, what do you mean?
When you go into Menti, when you see like at the screen where it says here, let me I'll show you in a second. Menti.com, Mentimeter, right? So
Is it just like the web address?
no. So when you come here, right? So here's my Western section. Do you see that?
Oh, hang on, I lost you.
I don't know if you see my
Let's
screen.
go back. I do. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, you see the 3 dots on the right,
Oh, okay.
and it says share. I think it's the share voting link, and when you do that, you can see link to the live results.
Okay, you want that?
Yep. If you copy that and send that to me, I will be able to share that. So that'll be perfect. And then, so that'll be. And send it to tdimitrovich at comcast.net at gmail.com. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Be perfect. We got 19 people. See, they're creeping in. 21 concurrent viewers, 19 current viewers.
The email is
tdimitrovich. So it's T and then my last name at gmail.com. Awesome. Welcome to Vendor Booth. This is the virtual vendor booth. Everybody, so we're getting set up with Dan. He's going to do something really cool and unique. It's going to be a Mentimeter quiz that those watching can take, and we will see how smart you are. And it's completely anonymous. Right, Dan?
that's correct.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I wouldn't say you're beautiful, but... And then while we do that as well, I am going to... I'm going to be working through to send an email out to everybody who did the exit so that they get confirmation.
Right.
All right, so we are. I'm still waiting
See my
for.
Cardinals.
I'm
But
still. Oh, look at that, Cardinals. Jeez, oh man, Pirates. I need my
I, I,
terrible. I need my
I didn't
terrible
say I was
team.
going to cheer for the Cubs, did I?
I thought you
Lockman's
said.
claiming
I thought
he's,
you said. I don't know. The Cardinals aren't going to have a good season. So
they're
you
not going to
weren't.
go far. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he was right. You were definitely putting a Cubs hat on at that point, in my eyes.
What?
Yep.
I don't know. That's not a definite yes.
Oh, in my eyes, it is, Dan. You were a heavy Cardinals or a heavy.
Oh, I
Yes.
still am.
Okay. Uh oh.
I just saw him get pounded last night. That's why I'm concerned.
Well, you know what I'm concerned about is I'm looking at the Mentimeter out, and I didn't see anybody who submitted. Today's what, the 22nd, right?
Yep.
Oh, I know why. Boy, I'm like, oh boy, it's the AM session, not the PM session. Wow, I had, you know what, I had a that sunken feeling in your stomach. So did you send that to me? I haven't gotten it yet.
I thought so.
So what's your email? Dan R. Neeser. Oh, it's right there. At eaton.com. And I'll say follow.
Once I spelled your name wrong.
I'll say follow me back, and I'll send you that email. That way I can show the results. All right, we're still getting ready, everybody. I'm waiting for a link, and then once I get that link, Dan's going to do his thing. We're going to have a little quiz associated with his Q&A session. So just hang in there for me. Enjoy your cup of coffee or your water or whatever you're eating. There it is. Okay. Let me bring this up. This is going to be good. Oh, perfect. Perfect. And I think, Dan, let me do this. I'm going to go to studio mode, and I'm going to create a new link. I'm going to call it Menti. And I'm going to add, I think I can add a browser. Menti browser. Now, this is going to be really good. Whoops. Delete. Control C. Control V. Hit OK. Look at that, huh?
All right.
Am I good or what? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this like this, okay?
Okay.
And then when you do your presentation, I will flip to this when it's time.
Perfect.
All right, one more thing I have to do. Scene, I have to put in guest one. And look at that ugly mug. There you go. It ain't pretty, but never said you were. Okay.
There we go.
All right, so they see everything that's on the right, and then I'll do a transition, I'll do a fade, I'll slide this slider over, and then they'll be able to see what's there, and they'll see the results.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, well, I think Mr. Neeser, thank you for bringing Busman to the tables. We got a lot of people out there talking about the Indians, the Royals, the Go Baseball around the world. Felix Sandoval, awesome. Felix, I like that BS ball or whatever. Could I get Dan's email address again? I think I wrote it incorrectly. Mark Haiti, his email address is on the screen, buddy. So you should have that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and it might be hard to read. It's Dan R. R as in Robert. Neeser.
Yep. So it's Dan R. Neeser at eaton.com. .com. And you know what I'll do? Yeah.
And Neser's Neser.
Yep. And here's what I'll do, just so everybody has that, and it's very clear for everybody, because I want them all calling Dan R. Neser at Eaton.com. Okay. Well, Mr. Neser, I think I'm going to get out of your way, and I'm going to let you. I gotta get out of the studio. I gotta go back out of here first and get me out of here. All right.
All right.
So I'm going to get out of your way. Welcome everybody to Vendor Row, and enjoy Dan Neser's time. Dan, you're on the clock, buddy.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'm going to go quick because we only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to try to be as interactive as possible. But I wanted to talk to you about two things today real quickly, so if we can advance the next slide. Two things that I think are really important with regards to one being the 2020 NEC, and the other, even if you're on the 2017 code, you're going to have to be aware of that, and that's the ARC energy reduction in NEC 240.67. If you could please open a Menti browser and or go to menti.com, I should say, go to menti.com and enter code 4901-12-7. I don't believe you need spaces, but and then you'll get your first question. And the first question is, what is available fault current? And there's 4 choices. So available fault current is A, the amount of current that must be more than the interrupting rating of overcurrent devices. B, the amount of current that must be more than the short circuit current rating of equipment. C, the largest amount of current delivered at a point on the system during a short circuit condition. And D, the full load current rating of a load. I got one response here so far.
You got a response. Okay.
And it's the right one, too.
I'm not going to say what it is yet. Oh, are you showing it yet or no?
Yeah, I see one response on my screen.
Okay, hold on. Refresh browser.
I got 2. I got 3 responses. There we go, 4.
There we go.
And obviously everyone's getting this correct, right? The first 2 choices are the exact opposite of what you have. You never want the amount of fault current to be more than the interrupting rating or the SCCR of the equipment, right? That's ungood.
It's ungood. Love it.
Okay, so we can go back to the presentation and we can go to the next slide. So again, the first part we're talking about available fault current in SCCR. Advance. And as mentioned, well, not as mentioned, but if you weren't aware, we did actually put a definition in the 2020 NEC of fault current and available fault current. Fault current is simply a current that can flow during a short circuit, and the available is the largest amount or the maximum amount. So, and we have to compare that to the interrupting rating and the overcurrent devices, the SCCR, and those ratings must be adequate for the available fault current. Next slide. So what is short circuit current rating? It's simply the largest amount of current that equipment can safely withstand. And I always mention that that is based upon when I say that it can withstand, it's basically the amount that it can handle without any shock, fire, or projectile hazards. So here we have an example where the fault current is 20 Ka, the SCCR is 5 Ka, and that would be a very unsafe situation. We could have serious equipment damage to that equipment if did a fault occur of that magnitude. So the next slide. The key requirement, of course, is 110.10, and it's a very long, a very windy or wordy type description. But the assent is we have to have proper SCCR. The SCCR needs to be adequate for the available fault current. that may depend upon the overcurrent device and so forth. So let me see here. I think I'm going to advance to the next question on the Menti poll. And the question is, the 2020 NEC 408.6 requires the short circuit current rating to be marked on the panel board, switchboards, and switchgear.
They should stay on that Menti. If they hit, I believe, if you just hit oh, there
Yep.
it is.
It appears they are, right?
Yep.
So I have 3 yeses, 1 no, by the looks of it.
3 yeses and 1 no. Let's do a transition.
So again, the 2020 NEC 408.6 requires the short circuit current rating to be marked on panel boards, switchboards, and switchgear.
Well, this is that's the last question, isn't it?
And I purposely asked this question, okay? I got 7 yes and 1 no, and it's a trick question, okay? 408.6 does not require the SCCR to be marked on the panel boards. It requires the available fault current. And I purposely did that because I noticed in Chad Kennedy's presentation that the graphic showed the SCCR. It did not show the available fault current. So we're going to go to the actual wording of 408.6 in our next slide. Okay, so again, we have 408.6 says switchboard, switchgear, and panel board, so that is correct. Shall have a short circuit current rating not less than the available fault current. So it does require you to know the SCCR, but it requires it to be adequate for the available fault current. It doesn't require it to be marked. Now, obviously, the product standards would require that, but not 408.6. And again, this is only for other than 1 and 2 family dwellings. The available fault current and the date of calculation performed, that's what's required to be field marked. So had I said the available fault current instead of SCCR, then that would have been a true statement. Okay?
Sweet.
Okay, I'm going to advance to the next slide. So, I just point out here with fuses, it's fusible equipment, it's very easy. Fusible equipment, it typically has the SCCR clearly marked on it. And, in this case, we have an SCCR of I believe it's 200 KA, so it's not an issue, right? If we look at the next one, if we look at a panel board, the panel board has kind of what I call a conditional rating, and that's where the SCCR is not marked on the nameplate, right? It says it's this or the lowest interrupting rating of the overcurrent device installed. So just pointed out with circuit breakers, you might have to determine the SCCR. You probably have to look at the individual breakers in the panel board and look and see what they are, and then compare that with that. So it's a little bit difficult, a little bit more difficult process, if you will. Okay, what's my next slide here? Okay, arc energy reduction. Okay, and I did advance my Menti, and my Menti, before we get into it, says fuses rated 1,000 amps installed in a 1,200 amp fuse disconnect must meet the requirements of 240.67.
Ooh, this is a good question.
I have 2 yeses and 1 no.
Yep. Who else? Come on.
I think people are scared. People are processing this.
This is completely anonymous, but now remember too, Dan, there is a delay. So
oh yeah.
There's like a minute maybe delay. So just have your patience, because so let me ask you a question. So it says fuses rated 1,000 amps installed in a 1,200 amp fuse disconnect. So 240.67. While we're waiting to see if people are brave enough to answer this one, when did 240.67 go in the code, and when did it become effective? Do you know?
Yeah, so it went in the code in 2017 with an effective date of January 1, 2020, which we'll show here coming up. So I got 6 no's and 2 yeses.
Oh, hold on. I got to refresh.
So we had a rash of no's come in.
There it is. Yeah, I just had to refresh.
Okay.
Oh.
So let's go to the next slide, and we're going to show you all those questions that you wanted were answered. Okay, so yeah. Now here's the thing. It says fuses. Okay, so it's not the switch size. This is different than the requirements for ground fault protection. If I had said, is ground fault protection for equipment required for 230.95 for a 1,000 amp fuse installed in 12 amp fuse disconnect, the answer would have been yes. But in this case, the answer is no, because it's not the maximum fuse that can be installed, it's the actual fuse installed, which is, in this case, would be 1,000 amps. So, and again, it has an effective date. Now, people will say, well, geez, this is the 2017 code. We're not on the 2020 code. Well, that effective date has come and passed. So, you know, even if you're on the 2017 code, people are looking at this, okay? And I just highlight some changes here. You know, we have to have documentation. That was there before, as to the location. But now we've added that we have to provide documentation to demonstrate that the method chosen to reduce the clearing time is set to operate at a value below the available arcing current. And that's a key thing too. It's all about the arcing current, not the voltage fault current, the arcing current. So we can go on. And here's the key, and I can maybe advance here. Slide. I think I asked that. So if I look at I just advanced the Menti. So if you can go back to Menti, and my question is this: if the available fault current results in a fuse opening time of 0.7 seconds or less, arc energy reduction is not required. So again, if the available fault current results in a fuse opening time of 0.07 seconds or less, arc energy reduction is not required. I haven't got any responses yet, but hopefully you're reading the screen. Okay?
Yeah, remember, there's a slight delay, so
yeah.
I got
2 trues.
Yep.
There we go. And you know, this is important, and I think people think, oh, geez, you know, and I know, Tom, we've talked about this in the past. If the fuse is able to clear, we don't need anything else, right?
Right.
So, you know, that text clearly says that, you know, hey, if your fuse has a clearing time based upon I'm sorry, hang on.
Yeah.
I tricked myself, Tom.
You sure did.
I tricked myself. It was a double trick question. I just read that. You know, it's funny. I did purposely put that in there. The available fault current, right? That's the available fault current is not the arcing current.
So
look at that.
This is interesting.
Now, if that had said the available arcing current or the arcing current, then it would have been true, right?
Yes.
And that's important. You know, and again, the thing I'm trying to stress is too is we don't always have to do something, right? In many cases, the fuse will operate as required, and we don't need any additional things. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, you know, again, it's the key. I'm highlighting there the available arcing current and the clearing time of 0.07 seconds. If we meet that parameter, we're done.
Yep. Right.
If we don't meet that parameter, then we got to do one of those options. And a new option, current limiting electronically actuated fuses, that's one option now.
Yep.
Slide.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Okay. And just, I'm not going to get into this in detail, but there was a change to the 2020 code and a corresponding TIA because they said that you had a performance test, which is great, right? You should performance test your system when it's required. But they said it had to use primary current injection, and basically we modified that to allow other methods of testing because primary current injection may not be suitable method for testing the system. So again, is arc energy reduction technology required? No. It's not required for fuses rated below 1200 amps. So again, that 1000 amp fuse, the 1200 amp switch does not have to comply. Not all 1200 amp fuses above will have to have an arc energy reduction method, right? Only if we don't have that required clearing time. And so there's a process. We have to calculate the available fault current. We have to calculate the arcing current and consult fuse time current curves. So we're going to show you a couple ways to do that. So the available fault current, that's really easy, right? I mean, we consult with the utility. We find the value of fault current they can deliver either from the utility or we do calculations. And, you know, there's a variety of different methods you can use to do that. That's easy, right? And especially if you use like a Busman SC2 software mobile app that's free, you can do that. That's easy. The arcing current, if we go to the next slide, that's the challenge. So the arcing current is based upon the available fault current, and the method we would use is 1584. Now, the old edition was the 2002 edition. There's now a 2018 edition out, and the calculation has changed, and it's also much more accurate. You're going to get different results. I certainly recommend, even though the code text still references 2002, I recommend using the 2018 edition because it's a much more up-to-date thing. It must not have been finalized before the 2020 code wrapped up. Yeah. One thing I like to point out is there is no method available above 106, so that 1584 stops at 106 Ka. So above that, we really have to use a 106. And just as you know, we know the arcing current will be higher than that, but that's the only thing we can do. So next slide. So again, we have some tools for Busman that'll make this easier for you. We have two tools. We have an arcing current calculator and an arc reduction calculator. The arcing current calculator we'll show both. The arcing current calculator is based upon the older method of the older equations, and it requires to go to a TCC, a time current curve, to find the clearing. The arc energy reduction calculator does everything for you. So we're going to really focus on that. I'm going to show both programs now. Okay, so here's the arcing current calculator. So basically, we'd enter our voltage. So let's say we had a 480 volt system. The voltage fault, okay, that's the calculation we got from SC2, for instance. Let's say it's 35,000, and we're going to assume that the entire 35,000 amps flows through that. When we say portion, sometimes there might be only a certain portion that flows through there because of motor contribution. You might have some flow that is for motor contribution in that calculated value that wouldn't flow through there, possibly. We have to specify the equipment type. That gives us our gap. And in this case, let's say we're in a panel board or a switchboard. That'd be that gap. And then we click result, and it gives the result. So for a 40 volt system, that'd be 19,120. And we typically recommend taking 85% to clearly make sure we're into the operating range of the overcurrent device. So we would probably use 16,250. That'd be the value we'd compare to the time current curve. If it was a 208 volt system, if I can go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, we compare it to, I'm sorry, I'm going to do the 208 volt system as well. But as I said, we compare it to the value. In this case, I find that the clearing time at 0.07 seconds, and it's approximately 11,000 amps. In this case, as long as the arcing current is more than that threshold current of 11,000, we do not need arc energy reduction technology. So in this case, we're in the green area. We're above 11 Ka, so we're good to go. Let's change it to a 208 volt system. So again, as you can see in red there, I kept everything else the same. The only thing I did was I changed the voltage from 480 to 208 volt systems. And now look, I have a much, much lower arcing current. Now I'm down to 8910 amps. So we go back to our time current curve. and now we're below that 11K. So now I do have to comply. Okay. Let's look at the other one. So this is the new one. Okay. And again, I really recommend using this because A, it does the TCC analysis for you, and B, it uses the new equation. So I'm going to kind of go through some specifics here. Two things you'll notice is we have two more configuration things, and I'm going to run through the variables here. You can go to the next slide. So the first thing we have to know the gap. And in this program, we're giving the millimeters as opposed to the corresponding thing. So before we gave you just panel boards and MCC and panel boards, now we give you the gaps. So you have to select 13, 25, or 32. Again, in most cases, it's 25. The voltage will be whatever that is, right? So it defaults at 40 volts, but you can enter anything from 208 volt to 600 volts. Next slide. Here's something new. We have three different selection parameters. The parameters before were based upon a configuration of a VCB, a vertical electrode conductors, and they're basically pointing down. So that is kind of the picture in the top. VCCB adds basically a barrier. So it's like now the terminals are shooting up in the MCC, and it's hitting that barrier, and that's going to cause it to be deflected out more than before. So the VCCB, it will result in the highest value of arcing current, and typically, that's the one that it'll default to that. But if you want the lowest value of arcing current, again being more conservative, you might consider the horizontal conductor. So that's where it's pointing out at you. So, the program will default to a VCBB. In many cases, like if I look at a Pringle switch, for instance, in a switchboard, probably VCB is the most appropriate for that. There's often not a barrier right above the switch. So, for most instances, I think the VCB is the appropriate one to do. We did the VCB because it results in the highest value of arcing current. But I think the VCB would be the proper one I would pick most often. Next slide. So again, the range has not changed. It's still 0.5 Ka up to 106 Ka. And again, if it's above that 106, we use the 106 K because there's nothing we can do to calculate that. Maximum fuse capacity of 2,500 amps. Basically, we know from our fuse performance that if you get above 2,500 amps, you're going to be using arc energy reduction. So, if you're 2,500 amps or below, you probably have a chance you don't need it. Next slide. So again, we just enter that thing. And in this scenario, I did use the VCBB configuration. I used 480 volts. And I put, all the other parameters in there. That was exactly the same as before. Okay, just I added two more other additional parameters. And I give the fuse ampacity. So in this case, let's say it's a 1200 amp fuse, just like we had before. I click calculate and the results. So in this case, notice the first thing here, exact same parameters basically. I guess the one difference, what I did do VCBB, so I got a little higher, slightly higher arcing current, not majorly higher than the VCB, but the arcing current is considerably higher than the previous calculations. And in this case, both of those would pass. Now let's go to 208 volt system. So I changed it to 208. That's the only thing I changed. I go to the results. And again, we get the higher arcing current, okay? And as you can see, now I pass. So, again, there's benefits to using the new equations, and that's what we can do. So that's our presentation. I did have another question there, but I kind of skipped over that in a little time. But I was going to ask what standard can be determined to use the arcing current in electrical system. I said NFPA 70. Actually, 1584, 70B, or the Red Book. And of course, you guys would have all been smart enough to know it's 1584.
Awesome. Well, you are the man, Dan. Again,
All right.
the man with the
Hopefully I
plan.
didn't go too much over my 15 minutes. Again, I'm happy to share this with you. I think I gave you the good tools. So
Excellent. And as always, as you noted earlier, the most important slide is the first slide. Yes. So there is Dan's contact information if you want a copy of those slides or if you have other questions. Just contact him at danarneser@eaton.com, and there's his phone number.
And one thing I've been doing a much longer presentation on this topic. So if there's any inspectors out there that want me to do, let's say they want me to do a presentation for the North Dakota chapter, I don't know. I'm happy to do that for you.
Awesome. So Robert from Omaha says,
right.
Great job. And Tracy Dolan says, awesome. They appreciate it. I put the links in as you were talking about it. I put the links in the chat. So I hope you don't mind that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it looks like you're good to go, brother. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for joining the vendor booth. There's no other presentations, so that gives me a little time to take a breath and get ready for the code panel meeting, which is this afternoon. And don't forget, we have the R&R Ranch tonight, and that is going to be Jeff Sargent, the Jeff Sargent. If you have a handbook, NEC handbook that I can't remember. I don't know if it was 2 cycles ago. He relinquished the handbook. He was the editor of the handbook for a lot of years. He's always engaged in all of these NFPA documents, and now he is the new Mark Early. So you're not going to want to miss this tonight. You have your chance to, and we are going to do the dial-in as well. So I think I figured out the volume issue I had with Ryan Jackson. So we're going to nail that one down and get it all set up. So you will be able to get that taken care of. All right. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everybody else, for joining in. I am going to be signing off now. And remember, be safe, be healthy, and see you at 2 o'clock from hopefully about 1:30. So about a half hour from now, log back in again. All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Dan. Take care, brother.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks. All right. So Dan has left the building, and we are back. So please check out the R&R Ranch tonight. And if you're signed up for the meeting at 2 o'clock, get in a little bit early. I sent the email out to everybody who signed in and signed out from the last session. So thanks for joining in the Western Section IAEI virtual vendor booth. For those of you who have purchased the week-long registration, we're going to start the program on code from panel 2, answering code questions. Please dial in around 1:30 Eastern Time or 1:45 Eastern Time. I'll have the information up in the chat session for sign in. And for those of you who have not purchased that, you still have time to do that. You can go to the Western Section site or send me an email at tdimitrovich@gmail.com, and I will send you the registration link. Thank you, and God bless. Stay safe and stay healthy. Signing off. If I can find the button.